back to the poker vlog, and today you're finally getting some live footage from an underground private Albanian game in London. Stakes are 2-5, and I had to walk down 2 dark alleyways to get to this venue. Pretty creepy, right? I've got 4 hands from this session for you today with a recorded line. Then I have a couple of hand histories from a session weeks back. This was pretty hard to do without getting noticed, so please let me know your thoughts. Let's get into it. Nice easy one. We're playing 2-5, and we open ace-6 of spades on the button to 20, and everyone folds. In this hand, the stand-up game is on, and this is the first hand. This is 2 lives pre, but I'm in a game full of nits and weak fish, so I'm going to take the aggressive route, especially in this hand. Go for number the dominant.
Reverse.
The flop comes queen, 9 deuce, rainbow, and they check to me. Easy bet here with top pair, so we bet 25, and they both fold. This hand is a couple hours later, and the stand-up is back on. I've not got a button, which means I've won the hand, and I'm out of the stand-up game. So the strategy here is to play passive and catch punts. We don't want to create a large pot with marginal hands that can't call 3 bets pre or jams later on in the hand. So here, the low jack limps, and we just limp 6s in the cutoff. The small blind calls, and the big blind checks. The flop comes 3-4-5 with 2 hearts, and it checks around. We can bet here, but again, we don't want to create large pots with marginal hands. The turn comes an offsuit queen, and now the small blind leads into us for £25.
Lo punem mult dacă îl vedem, mult direct.
It folds round to us. So here, the small blind can have queen X, but he's still standing, so he's incentivized to bluff here. We have a made hand, and we have draws to the nuts with our straight draw, so we call in position to see what they do on the river. Now the river comes an offsuit 9, and he checks to us. I thought about value betting, but I'm not sure what worse hands can call us here, and I also don't want to give him a chance to bluff us off the best hand. So I check back, and we beat 7-5 off. Okay, so for the last hand, this all happens really quickly, so I don't have any footage for it. So I've just recreated it here. Villain makes it 20, we make it 60, they jam all in for a 550, we snap call, flop comes clean, jack 9-7, spades, turn comes the ace of diamonds, and river comes 8. Nice easy game, we win. In a lot of these private games, there'll be a lot of side games played. So every 8 or 9 hands or so, you'll play a pot fold or a PLO hand. This is a beautiful PLO hand. Unfortunately, we were in a pot fold and it come jack 4-3, 2 diamonds. So this hand's pretty not very good to get in on a pot fold. Okay, so that's the end of the live hands. I've got 6 more hands for you guys. They're all hand histories in the hand repair. I think that most of them are punts, except for one. Let me know what you think. So we're playing 1-2-5 with the stand-up one, and the fish makes it 15, and it folds from Mr. Host, who you already know, and he 3-bets to 55. Mr. Host is obviously a very aggressive good reg, so but he's standing up. It folds to us in a small blind with King Queen of clubs, and we're standing. So I like an aggressive route normally, and we shouldn't have a lot of flats from the small blinds, so we should either really be 4-bet or folding. So yeah, I'm going to 4-bet here. I'll make it 130. I think that we're going to be able to get Mr. Host to fold a lot of his random junk, and if he does call, we can play flops with betting leads. So we 4-bet. This is on a smaller size, but it should get the job done most of the time. The fish folds, but Mr. Host calls. So we go to the flop of 3-4-6 with 2 diamonds. This is an awful flop for our hand, but we do have range advantage. So we're going to have all the aces, kings, queens. He can have them, and he would play trappy, but with only 500 behind with a stand-up on, he's probably going to jam these pre. So I'm pretty sure that we're the only one that can have aces, kings, and queens here. So we bet. We should bet in this flop for about half pot, but for some reason I go for about 20% pot, leading for 55. This is way too small, but we're not that deep, so it doesn't really matter. Because most turn bets here are just going to be jams for the stack to pot ratio. And he calls. Now the turn comes as pairing a 6 that pairs the board, which is a good card for our range because we have all the other pairs, and now we're going to want to jam them. So that's what we do. I go all in for 265 into 390 for about 2/3 pot, and now he tanks for 5 minutes before eventually folding. This is a punt with our exact hand, as on the turn we only really want to be continuing with hands that have good equity draws, like flush draws. So if we had the king, queen of diamonds, that'd be okay, because even if they've got a 6 here, we still have outs. With our exact hand, it's just a punt, and somehow we managed to get Mr. Host to fold 10s. Okay, so this hand is a massive blunder. We're playing 1, 2, 5, 10, and we're first out with black queens. So we open to 30, and Mr. Host free bets us to 125. Now on the bottom we have Romeo. Romeo is a mega wow, and he's currently sum running and playing every hand. So I'm not surprised that he flats the free bet on the bottom. It folds back to me, and we have a decision now to either 4-bet or call. I don't like calling out of position, but it does mean our hand would be undirect and disguised. But we are quite deep, so I like aggressive routes, so we decide to 4-bet. Now I 4-bet to 450, and now Mr. Host folds, which is good, because he was the one we were scared about. But now Romeo calls. And of course, it's as if the poker gods were watching, and they knew that we just 4-bet out of position with queens, because the flop comes ace, king, 3, Romeo. Great. But we're not giving up here. No, we have the range and the nut advantage, and we're not scared of money. So I lead 200, which is about 20% pot, hoping that we can just get the job done here. But he calls. So we've got 1400 in the pot now, and the turn brings the 2 of hearts. And this brings in a backdoor flush draw, and technically a straight, but we're not worried about the straight. And this is a brick. So I bet 500 for 1/3 pot. And he calls. So alarm bells are ringing now. We've got 2.4k in the middle, and now the river comes the 8 of hearts, which brings the backdoor flush draw in. But I'm not worried about that very much. I'm not really thinking about the flush. Now here is where the blunder is. So I'll 4-bet pre-flop. I've bet the flop and the turn, telling the story that I've got aces, kings, or ace, king. And now on the river, we have 1/3 pot behind, and I check. Yes. I think here I should jam to continue the story, as really the only hand that he can have that can call is ace, queen. But I chickened out and I checked, and he checks back, and we get shown the old king jack off. Great. I think that on the turn, if I've decided to continue the story and bet, then I really need to stick with it on the river. I don't really like my turn sizing either, as it means that the SPR, which means stack to pot ratio for people that don't know, on the river it is 0.3. Like we've only got like a 1/3 pot behind, which means that if we jam a 1/3 pot, he's getting value to call. Like we'd be betting 650 in. He's getting like 5-1 on a call, 6-1 on a call with his own money in. That's a lot. He's valued into call with a lot of the weaker hands, like his king X here. So whether that would have worked, I don't know. So I think that I should either jam the turn or check the turn and jam the river. Both of them will be for about pot. But honestly, I don't even know what to do here. Maybe just give it up on the turn. Let me know what you think and what you do. Okay, so these next 4 hands are played at our favourite casino. And this was meant to be a short, quiet night until a Swedish millionaire comes down and sits to my right and starts blasting. So, in these hands, my aim here is to isolate the whale, get him heads up pre, and just play post versus him. I've been playing with him for a couple of hours prior to this hand, and he's not folding pre. So let's get into it. We're playing 1, 2, 5, 10. The button calls, the whale calls, oh, the big blind calls as well. The whale calls, and we open to £110. So the normal size should be around 50 here. But when I'm in position to the whale, I want to play massive pots versus him, and I want to isolate him. I know that this is going to push the other two out, and I know that the whale's going to call. We just want to go for max here. So the other two fold, and he calls. Pot's £240, and the flop comes king, king, 3 with 2 spades. Now that's really decent for our hand and our range. So when he checks to me, we're going to bet. I decide on 75, which is about 30% pot. This is to get value from, like, you know, his ace-x hands and all his other random junks, some spade draws. He just calls. 390 in the pot, and the turn comes an off. Oh, it comes a 4 pair and 3. So now it's board is double paired. Now this is actually a really good card for us, because he's going to think that any of his ace-x hands or his queen-x hands are going to be winning, and we have a better 2 pair. So when he checks, I size up here to 250, and he still calls. So I'm now putting him on an ace-x or a queen-x hand or spade draws. So £890, and the river comes 4 spades. So this brings in the front door flush. And he checks. So I think here that going for value is a little bit thin, because we can be value running ourselves first better. The flush did complete. You know, if he's got an ace-x hands or queen-x hands, I don't think I'm going to get 3 streets of value from him. So I decided to just check back here, and somehow we lose to jack 3 off. You can tell this is going to be a fun night. Okay, so we're playing 1, 2, 5. We open queen jack off under the gun to 20. The plan again here is just isolate the whale pre and go post heads up versus him. Falls around to the whale, who decides to 3-bet me. Makes it 75, and in position to this guy, we're just gonna call and cool down if we hit. So we call, the flop comes really nice, comes jack 9-4 rainbow. He leads for 100, which is quite a big sizing on this board, but we're going to stick to the plan and call. That's what we do. The turn comes a 2 of hearts, which is a big brick. Now he bets 250. But again, sticking to the plan, just call. And the river comes a brick. I'm not really scared of 5-3 being the only straight. If he's got 5-3, we're just going to pay him off here, but he bets 300. You know, I'm not scared of overpairs. I'm not scared of better jacks. I'm not scared of jack 9 or whatever random, if he's got random 2 pairs. Because I reckon he'd use a bigger sizing on the river. He would let us know here on the river if he's got any of those hands that beat us, rather than going 300 into 800 and whatever. I think he would go like 500, 600. But it doesn't matter if he did. The plan was just to cool him down. That's what we do. And he mucks. Nice, easy. Right, this one is a blast. We're playing 1, 2, 5, 10. The game was about to break, but I managed to pull a couple of people from other games to keep it alive. So that I can try and stack the whale. And Rory is one of those guys. He's a really, really nitty rig. And when he opens here to 40, this is going to be 8+ and Broadway hands. Like, there's no mixing, there's no suit connectors, there's no 8-7 suited or probably ace-5 suited. Some ace suited aces, but a lot of the time he's your standard nitty player. Falls around to the whale, he just flaps, and now here I want to ISO the whale, even with Rory's tight range. So I 3-bet to 175, and they're both cool, which is not ideal. You know, I don't want to go multi-way here, you know, but my plan now is to blast any flop that isn't ace-high. So it comes jack 4-3 with 2 hearts. and the well checks. Now, multi-way, we should definitely check this. But I know I can get Rory to fold most of his hands and get it heads up versus a well. And if the well folds, we just win a nice £500 pot. So I think that most of the time Rory's going to be ahead of us with a lot of his hands. So I think betting here, there's merits to just getting him off of a hand that's better than us or has equity. So I bet tiny, I bet 125, which is about a quarter pot. I chose this sizing because if we get raised, we can just pass, and it's not a disaster compared to if we were to bet like 40 to 66% pot. So even if we get called here, we do still have 2 overs, a backdoor flush draw with the king of hearts, and a backdoor straight draw. So we do still have some equity. So we bet small, and Rory folds, which is amazing, and the well calls us, which is okay. You know, we still could be winning here. We still have a lot of good turn cards. 778 in the middle, and that is one of the good turn cards. This is a really, really good card for us. So we have all the ace-x hands, and we can bluff this card. I was only scared of seeing an ace if Rory was still in the hand. So when the well checks to me, I bet around half pot for 350. I'm sizing up here to jam rivers. You know, if the river comes any heart or picture card, I'm just gonna jam. Actually, to be fair, I'm probably just gonna jam every river. So the well goes into the tank for literally 5 minutes. He's tanking forever, but he finally folds. But when he folds, he shows me the queen of clubs and then some random card like a 5. He was tanking for 5 minutes to call me off with queen high. So it turns out this isn't a good bluff versus this player because he wanted to call me down with queen high. But it was a good bluff because Rory flashes me ace king off to let me know that I got one through on him. Okay, final hand. Again playing 1, 2, 5, 10. I forced the table to max straddle at this point. I've told them they either put the max straddle on or they can't play. And it folds around to the whale on the button, who limps. This time of the night he knows that I'm going to raise 90% of the hands and get a heads up with him. And he's right, I'll make it 40, which is way too small. It folds around to him and he calls anyway. And we see the flop of 973 rainbow. And here I've got 2 overs and a gut short, so I lead. I lead for 20, which is about a 5th pot. I think right now it's about 6 AM. I've been playing here for like 10 to 12 hours. I'm knackered. I have no idea what I'm doing, so this is just too small. But he calls and we get to see a cheap turn. And that turn is a queen of clubs. Now this is bringing in the backdoor flush draw. This is a good card for us. Obviously now we're up and down and we have opportunities for river bluffs. So I now bet 75 into 135, which I like. You know, like I said, we're up and down with a straight draw. We can bluff because we've got the jack of clubs. The queen hits my range. I think that betting 90 to 110 is probably better, like going a bit more aggressive, a bigger sizing. But I like this size, and of course, the well calls. The 6 of clubs comes on the river, which isn't a bad card for us. Because although we miss our straight draw, I have very relevant blockers. I've got the jack of clubs, which is blocking flushes. I've got 10, which is blocking straights, and both of them together blocking like queen and 9x hands, like queen jack, jack 9, queen 10, etc. We're blocking like pairs. So this is a really good spot for us to bluff. And I choose a smaller sizing of £150, which is about half pot. And in the moment I liked it, as I thought it would look like a flush trying to get some value. But actually, the more I look at it after, the more I realise that I think I just want to put max pressure on his 1 pair hands and betting pot for like, what is pot about 300, or betting like 225, 240, somewhere around that range would be way better. It doesn't matter because he clicks it anyway. Of course, we snap fold. And he shows us 7-4 off for a bluff, but with the winning hand. And that was the last hand of the night. I think we ended up racking up, and I think I lost about £500 on the day, which, bearing in mind the hands I played with this guy, is not too awful. But yeah. The cards are down, but the story's just getting started. Thank you for watching. Subscribe, stay sharp, and never show them your full hand.